My name is Moses Guerra, but around the hardcore scene, people call me Wrench. As a kid, I didn't really like rock and punk, but as I grew older, I started to listen to more like introduction punk bands, Sex Pistols, Dead Kennedys, Misfits. And just like as I continued to like grow up and like progress through high school, I just listened to more like subgenres of punk, and I found like my favorites like crust punk, beat down, DB, all those subgenres, and just people in Montclair telling me like, oh, there's this sick venue called the Meat Locker. So I go there whenever I want to sell patches, whenever I want to mosh, whenever I just want to like de-stress. The local scene, some of my favorite bands, one of my favorite bands, Division 1, Regicide. They're gonna go somewhere. Regicide is gonna be like one of the top bands, I'm calling it. Gutter Violence. The Gutter Violence guys are so sweet, like genuine nice guys. Those three bands are, I'd say, like some of my top favorite bands. Not just the punk. I very much grew up with hip hop in Jersey City, but those are my main two genres: just hip hop, punk, rock, metal in general. What got me into making patches is it's a long story, because I'm an art kid. I grew up like drawing, making paintings, just like general like art in general. And so when I got into the punk scene, I realized the scene it's very do-it-yourself, DIY, like do what you can with what you have, and I respected that. That was like one of the main aspects I like about punk. It's all independent. I saw people making their own patches, and I was like, okay, this is like something I could do. This is something I have like the resources at home. And I have some of like the first patches ever made like on my book bag. Making patches itself was just like me discovering just the whole DIY aspect of punk itself. Or like if I get like requests, like this stencil right here is for like one of my friends of this like grindcore band. I kind of just looked at the logo, found some stencils that people have already made. If people have already made stencils, I'll just make those and use those to make patches. But some bands I have, like a Sore Throat, it's in there somewhere between all the stencils, but I just learned like, oh, this is one of my favorite bands, I'll just make that into like a stencil and just make patches out of that. My number one patch of like all time, out of every single patch I have, was this Disclose patch, because this is one of my favorite crust punk DB bands of all time. Just the logo itself, the skull with the spear through it, the imagery itself is just amazing. And like, or this All Cops Are Bastards Mickey Mouse one that I found. This one is just like, I don't know, I love the vibe of it, just Mickey Mouse flipping you off and saying, fuck you, cops, all cops are bastards, there are no good cops. Only good cop is a dead cop. The hardest one, this is from a friend, and this patch took so long to plan out. Like the logo, this is what the patch looks like simplified. Yeah. This is one of the hardest patches I've ever had to make. Any patch that is like that brutal death metal with like the spikes on it, some of my influences. Well, it depends on what kind of art I do want to make. A lot of the time it's this famous artist called Jean-Michel Basquiat. An amazing artist, died at the age of 27. All of his art is super trippy, visual. It's one of my favorites, but just like the 2000s art style of like Adventure Time, Invader Zim, anything with like thick outlines and like sharp edges is like what got me like my art style. Thing that I can like find, I have like a bunch of random stuff I find like on the street or like at venues that I just pick up and put into my art. I have a painting of a drumstick that I broke that I found at the Meat Locker, and it's like part of one of my paintings now. We should be able to do what we can with like what we have. We should be able to make what we can, like use our creativity to our advantage, because a lot of things nowadays are forced on us. If I had the choice to, I would make everything by hand, because I believe it's better to like use your creativity to like your advantage. But in the hardcore scene, just in general, I feel like just a general sense of community, being with people, accepting people for who they are. The scene is just about love and respect, and should just be in a community. Just the basic community is what we should have. What is my favorite style of hardcore dancing and moshing? Okay, two-step. I love two-stepping. Two-stepping is one of my favorite things, and it's so... When I do it, it looks dumb, but like, there are some really clean two-steps out there. Picking up change. I like doing the picking up change whenever I'm like super hyped, just like like slamming my fist against the ground and shit. It just like gets all the energy out of there. It just like so much fun to just like mosh. And the side to side, which is just when there's a breakdown part of a song and you say you're at this side of the pit and there's this other side, you literally just crab walk like back up, hunched over like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, just like walk back and forth into the crowd to like just slam into them. It's so much fun, especially when people actively participate and like push you and like do it with you. That's like the sense of community I love when you like mosh and two-step. A lot of people don't know this, but the punk scene nowadays is surprisingly more accepting than it was in the past. And a lot of people are like, oh, conservative is the new punk. Conservative is not the new punk. Punk is not conservative or liberal in any sort of way. We have liberal beliefs, but that does not mean we ourselves are liberals or conservatives. It's so fucking stupid. I'm not an expert on politics. I don't know shit about politics. There is nothing in here that can tell you anything about politics. But I can just tell you, like, the punk scene now is not as strong as it used to be. It's more accepting, which I like, but it's not as strong. There's not a lot of punks nowadays that I can see. Or true punks. I don't want to say posers, but the term is posers. They're posers. People who are homophobic and transphobic or believe that punk is just the music. Those aren't fucking punks. Those are posers at like peak poserness. I do not like Machine Gun Kelly. I do not like Youngblood. They are not punks. They don't have punk beliefs. Being a good person doesn't make you a punk, but neither of them are good people. And MGK has said some wild things on Twitter about 16-year-olds. He can dress punk all he wants. He can have his little, I fell in love with the emo girl, like bullshit. He can have all that, but he's not punk. Anyone like him that has said stuff that he has, especially about minors, is not punk. It's hard to word what I think about punk itself, but you know what I mean. Like, you know, freedom for all. Fuck the government. Fuck the police force. Fuck every motherfucker on Wall Street. They can suck my dick sideways. Stroke that shit silly. I don't care. Any corrupt bastard deserves to rot in hell. Patches are always cheap. I'm never gonna sell patches for like $20, or I'd be some capitalist piece of shit. Good quality stuff for a low price is what I believe in. But don't be an asshole. Don't be a racist. Don't be a homophobe. Don't be a transphobe. None of that. It's not gonna be accepted, and you're gonna get your ass beat. Just be accepting of all people. Don't lick the capitalist boot that's above your head. Fight back. A state that inflicts violence on its people deserves violence in return. That's what I firmly believe in.